Hey fellow gamers, Chatty Sisa here and welcome to the March live stream. I cannot believe it's already the 8th one actually. So welcome. Again, for those of you who are not used to it, just a small warning up front. There are some cats and dogs here and the door behind me is a little bit ajar because otherwise they would make a lot of mess if I would close it completely. So it can happen that you will see some zoomies in the background. No worries, that's normal for this time of the day. So yeah, just a small warning. And I can see Louis is here. Hi Louis, and we're live. Whoa. Yeah, it's very nice to see you here. Welcome. I'm happy that you have joined and that you find the time. It's really great to see you here. And also we usually have some good chat, so I'm really looking forward to the stream now. Especially when you were asking me about the VEILGUARD topic, like what's there to discuss. Yeah, there is a little bit, so I hope that you are going to enjoy this one. Just in case the audio is off or something, let me know please. And I'm having the chat here on the side, so I'm going to see it. There is a small time lag when you type something, so it takes a little bit until I can see it here as well. And especially today I was a little bit worried because the internet was unusually slow, the connection today. I have seen it already during the day when I was working. So I was working today from home and I could see it's really a little bit of a problem. So I'm hoping that the live stream will be good now. I did decrease a little bit the settings so that you don't experience like any lags or any like cutting of the screen and of the sound. Don't worry, I wasn't waiting religiously for the exact second the stream would start. Okay, yeah, but it's great anyway that you are here. And I just went for a run in the forest and thought I missed the beginning. No, I did start actually a little bit late today because it took me a little bit longer. There was something else to do, unfortunately. Sound is fine, good, thank you. So in case there is something off, let me know. I don't think we have wits today, at least I'm not planning on playing some, but maybe. So there should be not a problem with the desktop sound, hopefully, but I did again check in the settings that everything's unlocked. So in case we do want to play something, it should be unlocked and it should be, let's say, you should be able to hear it. So let me probably switch the screen to what I have prepared, because we have the first topic, Exodus, then we have Dragon Age the VEILGUARD, and then some other topics that I have prepared. I did prepare a little bit less than usual, although it will look crazy when I open the desktop, but I thought it will be better maybe for more time for a discussion, and if it's too much, like too many topics, then there is not really that much time to interact maybe with you, so I did it this way. So let me switch to the desktop. Okay, hopefully you can see it without any issues. So we have some update for Exodus. And they did again release some little details about some of the, let's say, characters or the species that are in the game. They did play a couple of vids and they did post them on their YouTube channel where they are now playing a tabletop game. I have to say I didn't watch it. First of all, there wasn't really that much time because those vids are quite long, and I'm not really that much into tabletop games, so I don't have a view on like what this game is about and how it's like. I think from what I have seen just very briefly that they seem to have some fun there. But let me know if you have seen those bits and if there was something interesting. Maybe I will watch them then later and see if there is something that has relation to the upcoming game. And let me just quickly switch also on my side to make it a little bit bigger. Good, so I wanted to show you also again a little bit the page. I'm pretty sure the you know the page by now in case you are interested in the game, but they did release the Arcavir, the species that is in the game, basically as one of those that can survive practically everything. I have read here the description, and they can live in toxic storms, radiation worlds, high gravity worlds, etc. So they have been specifically like created or genetically engineered to be the eyes, hands, and feet of the celestials on worlds where normally the people cannot go. And this way also the celestials manage to like have a better grip on the entire cluster, because even if you are not on a world that would be habitable, you can still encounter some of these guys. So there are still some species and some things, let's say, living there that could be potentially dangerous. And I do like it how they describe it here. It's relatively like brief. The description is brief, and I do like the pictures that they are releasing, like this art from the game. It does look, I don't know how I would say what it looks like an armadillo, for example. That's something that comes to my mind. Like I think that would be the closest thing. Yeah, here's like a close-up. And I do like it that they also mentioned the humans here, basically, that the Celestials have created these Arcavirs, or these species, in order to, you know, mine some minerals, for example, for them or something, on these hostile worlds. But in the end, they are writing like they didn't account for us, humanity's internal warriors. So it means for us that we as travelers will be able to go even to these worlds that might be very dangerous. And I'm not sure if I would want to, honestly, because they are writing like, yeah, there's some acid rain that melts flesh and heat so searing it ignites air into fire. I'm not sure I would want to visit these, but yeah, it's again some glimpse into the species. Let me maybe switch so that I can see what you're writing. I haven't seen them, no. Can you think of any other example of a game that tried to get the players hooked on the setting with supplementary material prior to releasing that game? I'm not sure if pangolin scales are the best defense against acid rain. Exactly. I mean, but we don't know what kind of, I don't want to say material, but like what is this? Like, it looks like some kind of exoskeleton, in my opinion. And the question is, like, what material is it from? If it can withstand all of these things, acid rain and, I don't know, fire and freezing and whatever. So it would be interesting to know, let's say, the physics behind it or the genetics. I don't know if I am aware of a game that would be going the same route, let's say, as they do. I mean, I would have expected, and we did have a discussion with Snackish Raccoon a little bit about this as well. It is kind of a little bit of a weird marketing, I would say, what they are currently doing. They are trying to release always something along the way as they are in the background working on the game, and they make like regular posts, whether it's these bits with the tabletop game or whether it's like these posts with the Arcavir. But it's just a very different type of posts than what we are used to. Like what we are for games normally used to, you get some trailers, you get some little gameplay glimpses. And for example, the vids they did actually, like I think it was the Marayama vid that was like from the game. So that is something that normally creates like more hype because you can see what will be in the game. But watching the people, let's say from the studio, play some tabletop game, I don't know. It's nice to see. It's something like nice to see, but I can't really say that it would be like creating the same type of hype as normally like the other marketing strategies that we are used to seeing for games. So I would say they try to do something different. I'm just not sure if it's really working out, to be honest, because it's kind of I don't feel the hype being there. I am not on the Discord server that they have, so maybe there is something more going on. That's probably the truth. Like these days, usually a lot of stuff is on the Discord servers, and I am following up on their page. But yeah, I don't really think that there is like a very good marketing, to be honest. It's relatively like hype free. Which is kind of weird. I mean, I have noticed that a ton of people are saying that they really like what they are seeing so far from the game and that they are looking forward to the game. But it's kind of like quiet, relatively quiet. I think there should be something more during the summer game fest. So probably they are just like keeping it a little bit more quiet and toned it down because of that. Maybe they have some bigger reveal during the summer. Who knows? Maybe I could think back to Torment Heights of Numenera, but there they were adapting a pre-existing tabletop setting. Yeah, that's the other way around, right? So you had a tabletop game and then you had it like, let's say, converted, right? So it was a little bit something different. Here people are looking out for a video game, and in the meantime they are watching like a tabletop gameplay. I don't know, niche for better or worse. Yeah, I think what they really wanted to do was do something different. They just wanted to distinguish themselves a little bit from the like other game developers that they are creating the games and when they are doing the marketing, because everybody's basically like having a certain script based on which they are doing the marketing. And of course, the closer you come to the game's release date, the more the hype is building and the more they are releasing and, you know, making sure that the fans are aware and talk about it and everything. So I think, first of all, it's probably still quite far until the game's release. We don't know really yet. So I'm guessing that's why they don't want to build up too much hype. On the other hand, yeah, it's kind of a strange how they are doing it in the meantime. Yeah, I wonder if perhaps they are currently reassessing their marketing strategy in the wake of recent big game failures. That is another factor that comes to my mind. Maybe that is why they are trying to do something different here. Probably they did have this like pre-scripted how do we hype up the gamers for the game. And then they have seen what's going on in the other with the other games and with the other developers, and they change the tactics. I don't know. It can be. I think it will be probably more factors that play in. Yay! Not as late today, John. Hi, John. Nice to see you here. No, I did start actually a little bit late, and I do think it's better that I moved by at least like by that half an hour the start. I think it gives everyone a little bit more time to for those of us who are in the European area to settle down for the evening and just make sure that you have the time for the stream, and for the people in the States or elsewhere, you also have like already, let's say, not exactly the lunchtime in front of you. So yeah, I think it's working better now. Louis is writing, like, they don't want to make it seem like they are a successor to Mass Effect, that the hype doesn't crush them like it did with VEILGUARD and Avowed. Yeah, that could be, but honestly, I do think that they know that they have a good game on their hands, at least from what we have seen, right? And I don't think that they have to go necessarily the route as VEILGUARD went, because I'm pretty sure there were a couple of people delusional enough in the studio who did believe that the game that they made is good, which I don't think so. But in general, I think they try to make it to hype the game up exactly because they knew, okay, if the people are not buying the game in the first if they're not pre-ordering it or not buying it in the first few days, then probably they will notice, how far off it is compared to what was there in the previous games, and how far off it is from the entire, let's say, franchise. And we will not make those sales. By the way, that's something that I want to go into a bit later. So I think they did hype up the game a little bit also for these reasons. The guys doing the Exodus game Archetype, I think they do have a good game on their hand, and they could actually do this hype without being hit like by some disappointment by the gamers. At least for now, I don't see anything that would be like a red flag for me, to be honest. So I know Wizards of the Coast are behind it, so technically, yeah, there can still be something that will not be so great. But in general, I think let's call it woke elements are toned down in the game for the moment, at least from what we have seen and from what we have heard. So I don't think that they should be scared of like failing. But I do believe it's more like because they are so far off from the game's release that they don't want to, make the hype too big right now. They would want to lay low for a while so that emotions cool down somewhat. Yeah, especially when people are now looking not in a good light at ZombieWare, former BioWare, I already call it like that, and basically they are coming from BioWare, right? So they are probably kind of like keeping it quiet as well, so that people do not maybe necessarily associate them immediately with BioWare, which is a pity. In the past, normally that would be something where people would happily say, oh, I've been working at BioWare and we did create this and that. And currently, I think a lot of the people that have been working there and that have changed jobs and went elsewhere, they're probably not saying it out so loud, especially seeing how negatively the studio is viewed by the gamers currently. Because even from what I have noticed, even the let's call it the biggest chills, which were very positive about even Mass Effect 5 and everything, even those are now a little bit skeptical, and everybody's like, oh, let's wait. Even if, I don't know, Gamble is trying to, make some good marketing and post some positive stuff on Twitter, but I think people are now very wary of ZombieWare, and everybody will probably wait for the next Mass Effect, if it even comes out, and when it comes out, like what type of game is it, and how good is it compared to the previous trilogy. I think most people will not compare it even to Andromeda. There are still a lot of people there that are angry about Andromeda. I did make a review for it, as you know, and I didn't give it such a bad, let's say, rating, but that is also because, and I have stated it clearly, that is because I was playing the very modded, heavily modded version, so I didn't experience all these bugs and problems that the people had when the game released, and I think that's the problem, that they have lost a lot of gamers. At that time when the game released, many people were waiting for the next Mass Effect game, and then something buggy and awful came out. What the people, like when they tried to compare it with the original trilogy, they couldn't stand it, and it was not on par with the original trilogy. And I think that's when they lost already a lot of players, even if the game was patched later, and you can now mod it, as you could see, but the goodwill is gone. I think it's almost completely gone now with VEILGUARD. That was a game that really damaged that studio, definitely a lot. Let me see. John is writing, I do think that the complexities of time dilation will make this a very niche game. I hope they are not expecting Monster Wilds level of numbers. Yeah, that's another thing. I do believe that the game studios or newly formed studios or people who come from big AAA studios now into, let's say, into something new, and they are trying to create new games, they have to like tone it down a little bit in terms of most of them will not be able to create a huge AAA game out of the like from the start. They should probably focus more, let's say, on the just AA size of games and type of games, and in terms of whether it's like the budget or it's how long the game is, etc. I think that's when they would be actually able to be very successful. But if you are starting a completely, let's say, new studio, even if it's like under the umbrella of some bigger company, and you are relatively unknown and you are creating a completely new game in a new universe from scratch, there's a good chance that if you, let's say, go with the vision, let's make a AAA game, and you have you use a huge budget and you think that you will make millions and you have projections for that, that's when you will probably fail, because these days it will be relatively hard, and we have seen it with a lot of AAA games. And surprisingly or unsurprisingly, some of the smaller studios with AA games rather are more successful and make more money. So yeah, it's something where I would be careful on the side of the studio, like how much money, how many people and time, etc. I do want to invest into that game, because it might not pay off. And then unfortunately, again, a studio could be shut down, or there should be some restructuring, or I don't know. I mean, people these days and studios these days cannot afford these kind of losses. And as we have seen last year, especially in 2024, the gamers are pretty critical at this time. So yeah, it's a risk, definitely. I get that I'm a diehard fan of the original Stalker, but 90% of my gameplay was of a heavily modded version. Yeah, I do mod most of my games, but at least I'm trying for the first time when I'm playing normally a game to play it unmodded, to see it in the version as the studio has intended. But with Andromeda, I've made an exception, and I basically did mod it right away before I even attempted to play it, because that was like, let's say, prerequisite for me. I was aware of all the bugs and all the problems, and I said, okay, I'm not going to play it when it's not modded. So yeah, it's something where I usually am careful, and I mod the game only later, but with some games, yeah. EVE Online is so niche, but it survives. Need a hardcore fan base. Yeah, I think, John, a lot of the people who have been very fond of Mass Effect, which will be probably fans like me and from that corner of the sci-fi games that were really fans of the original trilogy. Currently, they are also all probably looking for the Exodus game, because it really looks very promising and it looks to be on the same level as the original trilogy. So I do believe there is already a, let's say, core fan base there. They just need to make sure to keep it until the game releases, and then of course deliver a good game. That's like the most important part, right? And Snakish Raccoon is here. Hi. Okay, let me read through the other stuff here. AA is not failure if done right. Exactly, that's my point. And lately we have seen also in the last few years that for the AAA games, you've often seen huge games with a lot of filler content, just because the studios have thought, okay, if we are making a AAA game, and we are investing a lot of, let's say, time and money into it, we have to make sure that the people are playing it and they get something for their money. So you have seen games that were lasting like 100+ hours and had a ton of filler content, unfortunately, because, I mean, normally I wouldn't complain when you get a lot of game for your money, but it was oftentimes very visible and you could feel it. Okay, this is just some filler content that does make sense. And I think when they would tone it down and actually go the route of AA game, which is oftentimes the let's say also the length of the game, and then also, like I said, how much do you want to invest into the game. You would make a smaller game. It would maybe take you 45 hours or 40. It is something similar as the Rebel Wolves are actually doing. So they are toning it down. They make a smaller game. The quality is still there, but you do not have unnecessary filler content there. And if you make it really good in terms of replayability, the people will appreciate such a game much more than buying a game that costs, I don't know, $100 will be going into that one as well. And then, playing it for 100 plus 150 hours. And oftentimes these are also the games that people do not finish because they are taking too long. The people get tired of it and they are just focusing maybe more on some other games. And then word gets around, maybe you will not make that much money as you could if you would just make a smaller game and then maybe more often. People are also tired of waiting for games for years. Yes, it does take some time until you make one, but wait 10 years for like we did for VEILGUARD, for another game in the franchise, that's too long. That's for many people just too long, And with the AA and with the, let's say, smaller size and with the faster development cycles, you could actually keep people more interested, even if you would do some sequels or trilogy or whatever, So I do think that the AA route in the current years will be like more popular also among studios than the AAA, to be honest. Let me just scroll a little bit through the comments here. I can see that you are talking. That's great. Nice to see all of you here. Yeah, no problem with being niche. Spell and Shield's new video on Obsidian felt like making similar points. That's coming from Luis. Yeah, he does really have a good wits and good takes on whether it's games in general or gaming topics or specific studios. A Plague Tale is a AA game done right. That's from Snackish. Yeah, and Obsidian's Tyranny was a wonderful game of a small-scale game by well-known developers, but absolutely not for everyone and clearly done on smaller budget. And that's also something that you need to keep in mind. You are making a game for a certain audience. Do you have enough of that certain audience in order to get your return on investment back? If you are wasting a huge budget on the game and in terms of millions, and then you are expecting again millions in revenue, but actually you are creating a game that's let's say for a relatively small portion of the gamers, then you will never see that revenue. So I think that's something that they need to keep in mind as well. They all behaved, at least until last year, I had the feeling that they all behaved like, we have to sell, 5, 10 millions, 15 million copies. And if you are making a game in a specific niche or in a specific genre, you can only account for those gamers that normally are there in that particular niche. You should be working with, let's say, more with statistics and with how many gamers are there in which, for example, age group, and in which group are the gamers that are interested in your specific type of game, how many would normally buy this. You can compare it with other games that have been successful. How much did they make? How many copies did they sell? And I think I'm having the feeling they are not doing that. They are not looking like realistically. They are just saying, oh, yeah, we invested here $200 million, so we need to get back, I don't know how many, 800 or a billion. Not even thinking about if the customer base is there, which I think it's pretty far away from reality, to be honest. So yeah, that's one of the things that they need to keep in mind a little bit more, to be honest. Shields is a very calm and collected individual in general, so his takes are always objective, leaning towards neither extreme. Yeah. Hey Sisa, did you get your Exodus book yet? That's from Snackish. No, I didn't receive it yet, but it's just started shipping from what I heard, and they are shipping it out of the US. And normally the books that they are shipping into Europe, I think that takes something like around 2-3 weeks at least until it arrives. So I'm not counting with the book until start of April, mid-April, maybe. I will be happy if it comes at that time. So no, I don't have it yet, unfortunately. Louise is writing to John, interesting to hear. I remember back in the day it was discussed as direct competition for what the hell is World of Warcraft. Then again, that was the beginning of the MMO era. Okay, yeah, I'm still waiting for mine. That's for the book. From Snackish, yeah, me too. Let me go a little bit more into the topic here for Exodus. Let's go a little bit back, because I just wanted to mention to you there are some more vids as well as more information on their homepage. As you can see, there is, let's say, a prologue. With the information we have already seen, there's a lot of info that we have already seen. There are some vids, of course, which are great. And I think it's a good, let's say, good glimpse into all of the stuff that's going on in that particular universe, and how complex not just the stories, but also the, let's say, the cluster in which we will be, and what all of the stuff that we can encounter. I think it's a good combination that we see here glimpses into the past as well, like how the people have left Earth, as well as how the, let's say, genetic experiments were done, or what was the result, let's say, here on that small piggy here, and all the other species that are there. So there is a lot of information here on the page, which I think is quite interesting. And as I said already in the last stream, I like it that they don't do like an info dump. They provide you with the information within a story. And for the travelers and for the companions, I'm curious because they still have like 3 different companions to uncover. We have seen Tom, that was the guy from the initial trailer, and then there is Elise. She is okay. So here's Tom. I'm sure you have seen it, and then we have Elise. And for Elise, she is somebody who will be using these mechs. And I do find it interesting whether we can actually use it as well, for example, with our protagonist, or if she will be the only one who can use this kind of mech suit. That will be also an interesting question, definitely. And then they also have a news page, which is basically containing as well the vids here regarding the let's say Star Heist, the tabletop playthrough, and also some more information and some of these small stories. So I think it's always worth to check in on that page, because they are oftentimes releasing something without really making, let's say, much noise about it. That's what I've mentioned also with the marketing, with the weird marketing strategy. So it's relatively quiet, and then you just maybe see a post on X, Twitter, where you only notice, okay, there is something new that they have posted, but it's not like they are making a huge huge marketing for it. So yeah. And also under the media, there's all these videos which they have released, including this tabletop game playthrough. There are some concept arts which are really stunning. I find them really beautiful, like this one. It's so, let's say, Mass Effect-y, I cannot help myself. And then also the trailer stills. So if, for example, somebody is creating a video for YouTube, they can use that. Or if you want to download something for your desktop, I think you can. So it is, there is actually a lot, and I do appreciate that they have so much information on their news page, to be honest, or on their game page. it's not like some other games where you see much less content on the homepage. And I do appreciate that. I just think it's a pity that they are not, let's say, more loud about making more noise about, hey, there is something new. Let me switch back to see your comments. So we'll have to wait a month more or less. Yeah, I would probably say, it's shipping from the US to Europe, as I said. So it could be, a month should be the max, I would say. But previously I did order some books like in the original from the US a couple of years back, and it took around 3 weeks until the books always arrived since I have ordered them. So I am counting with about 3 weeks. Supporting the devs with merch. We do, and probably I'm just very curious, like what's in the book, and let's say what kind of perks otherwise they will be coming up with. For now, I really I have trust in them. Okay, as I said, this is one of the few games where I say, okay, I don't see any red flags or almost any red flags for now, so I'm happy with what I'm seeing, and I'm happy to support. And I guess Snackish is the same, ordering the book as I am. I am all for Exodus talk. I won't scream and run out of the room till bloodsuckers come up. No, I don't have anything about the Dawnwalker, don't worry. That was from John. It is not a game for everyone. Yes, I am aware. So it's a very specific type of game. To be honest, what I'm really curious about and what I really like is that it really is having this kind of Witcher vibes, and the Blood of Dawnwalker, and it looks to be really of high quality, what they have shown so far. So that's very interesting for me. And also they have introduced some new elements, let's say gaming elements, like this time of like time scale of 30 days and 30 nights for the game, etc. So it is interesting. They have some interesting ideas for the game, and that's why I'm so curious about it, and that's why I'm also like posting some updates about it, because I'm really waiting for the game to come out to see how good it will be. But again, I do realize it's not a game for everyone, and not always everybody will be happy about it, because it is, let's say, such a bloody game as it is, right? They are taking the Alarian approach by a steady drip of info. That's about Exodus. Yes and no. It also depends on what type of info you are releasing in these small drips, and that's something where I just don't see let's say too much interesting stuff for people, for example, who are not interested in tabletop games. As I mentioned at the beginning, you haven't been here, but if you are not interested in tabletop games, then you have seen now for a few weeks only posts about them playing a tabletop game, which wasn't really something that you would be interested in, so you turn towards other stuff. And it's like the hype is like, again, going slowly down. Then they release something like now the information about the Arcavier, and again, oh, something new, you read about it, you are happy that there is something more, and then again, I'm guessing the next update will be again about the tabletop game. So yeah, it's not like dripping info, it's not the problem. It's what kind of info are you like releasing, because some of it might really not be interesting for many of the players. Snackish is writing, I'll wait on the merch for when we know more about the game and when they have an EU alternative, because having to wait a month for my order just isn't it. Yeah, but that's the reality, unfortunately. Yeah, that's why I got the book as well. I want to know more. The complete lack of red flags is kind of a red flag. Okay, in this day and age, yes, probably. I agree with you to a certain extent, though. It might just simply be really that the game will be good. So, yeah, or if you mean it like maybe they are trying to hide everything or what could cause a potentially a red flag, yeah, that's also another option. But only you can only do that to a certain extent, I would say. So yeah, for now, yeah, let's just stay optimistic for now. For both this and that's regarding the red flags for both this and Dawnwalker. To be honest, I'm kind of scared. You mean you don't want to be disappointed again when the game releases, right? Because that's what we have seen, especially last year with, I don't know, VEILGUARD and some other games. People have been waiting for them for a long time and have been happily and optimistically waiting for the release, and then they got really disappointed by what they've got. And I think a lot of people are like tired of all these disappointments. Me as well, like I said when I was last year talking about the Dragon Age, the VEILGUARD game, I probably went through like all of the stages of grief after this thing released. Yeah, I just simply don't trust that studio anymore. I mean, yes, it's different people now. Mike Gamble might be there, and they have some other people there, which they brought in, which are like, let's say, older and experienced and have been working on successful stuff before. So yeah, there's a little bit of hope, but at this point, people are just really disappointed, and they are tired of being disappointed so often. So yeah. I don't know, I've learned to be afraid of modern games and their respective studio. Yeah, studios. Yeah, I agree with you on that one, yeah. So that's what I had for Exodus. It might not be that much, but I just wanted to mention it, that they have released again something new, especially, like I said, because they are doing it, let's say, relatively quietly and not everybody notices. So it might be worth checking out the homepage, to be honest. Let me switch back a little bit to this page. And also, yeah, that's what I wanted to mention. There is also of course they have a Discord server, etc., but there is also a Reddit, and there are some posts with what the people are writing, and where they are also asking themselves, like, if we could use the mechs in the game. Then there is some update about the next book. Yeah, it is a spoiler, but I think like everybody who has read the first book will be happily awaiting the second. So there should be a continuation of the books, definitely, so that there will be another one. The book 2 will be called The Helium Sea, so it's visible here. So there are some news and updates here also on the Exodus. Yeah, here's the info about the orders which they have started to ship. Like I said, though, this is obviously someone within the US, and it is being shipped currently within the US, and I think we will have to wait a little bit longer, those of us who are outside. So there is a lot of stuff that is updated here, and it might be worth also like playing from the Reddit and having a look from your side on the Reddit page. So just FYI, so there is more than just the homepage and the Discord server. So I did find some interesting stuff here. Let me go to something else, and that is Dragon Age, the VEILGUARD. And back to the topic where Louise was asking me, like, what is there still to say? There's not really much going on. Yes and no. Let me just switch back a little bit to see what you're writing. I would caution against overly high expectation after all the avowed talk. I'm currently replaying Pillars of Eternity, and I can definitely say that I was too harsh on it back when it came out. That's from Louis, because I had extreme expectations. Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem now, that the more you hype up the game, the more people are expecting from it, the more disappointed they are if you don't deliver. And exactly these disappointments, when they are too big, they lead to like the people walking away from the studio and from their games. They made a playable demo blast from the past. Okay, so you are talking about which studio? Let me just quickly see. I'm not seeing which studio you're talking about, John. That would be interesting to know. I'll really have to check that one out. High hopes that they don't mess it up. That's from Lois. Okay, so I won't interfere with your discussion. You have a discussion going on here, which is good. So let me go back to Dragon Age the VEILGUARD. As you know, the game was released on the 30th of October, 31st of October. So basically on Halloween. And by now, it's like, what, 5 months old? So yeah, November, December, January, February, March, we're almost at the end of the 5th month. So let's say it's 5 months old. And the game has been included in the for the PS Plus subscribers. And it's now also like you can buy it with a discount. So the game is either on the PS Plus, you can play there. It is also with the, let me see, it is also I think it's still part of the EA Play for the Pass. You can now buy it with a 50% off. Yeah, with 50% off. So the game is something that we were waiting for 10 years. It cost millions of dollars to make. They hyped it up like crazy. And all these numbers and all these facts just speak about how much of a flop it was when they are already selling it with a 50% discount just 5 months, not even 5 months after release. And when it's available like on PS Plus and on the, EA Play, I mean, oh, come on. So the funny thing is that even games like, what was it here? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, people have been playing more those than Dragon Age the VEILGUARD, even if they got it basically for free, right, with the pass. Nobody wants to play that game, even if it's for free. So that was basically what I wanted to say. Like, this is awful. And if you look at the this article, it is from the 10th of March, so it is by now like 2 weeks old. And at the time when they were adding it to PS, it was on place 15. It was new. And if you look now at this week or the latest update of this chart, which is here, this one, Sony's new online shooter is off to a very slow start. So that's the next one. This is from 2 weeks ago. This is or 11 days ago. This is from 4 days ago. And when you open it and you scroll down, then you see Dragon Age VEILGUARD is now already number 18. And after just 1 week, after 2 weeks after it was added to PS, and it's going down. It has like a decreasing expectation of the players, so nobody wants to play that game even for free, and I think that says a lot. Yeah, as I said, that's the same also for the free trial. This is still from December, but again, they did add it in December already for the to EA Play. Oh, come on, like, it's so clear they are trying to boost the numbers any way they can, and all they have to, and in the end, what they have to do is just basically give away the game for free, just to be able to say we have had so many players. But in reality, the sales are not there. And yeah, you can have a lot of players, but those players will be playing the game for free, and you will not get the money back that you have invested into this. So yeah, and if you look at the Steam charts, actually, nothing changed. The all-time peak was 4 months ago when it released, 89,000, and the game is normally now played by about 2,500 people. And as you can see, I think this one was Saturday and Sunday. It gets like the most players over the weekend, and then there is just some smaller peaks over the weekend. And I think it's just the same people now just playing another round of the game. But as I said already before, I highly doubt that these are actually like new players. I do think that there's a lot of those players here, those that are like really diehard fans, and they are just doing a second or third replay just because, you know, they could create a new character in that famous character creator. Because I have seen some posts by some people who whose only reason to replay the game was, I have now a more beautiful character, let me play through the whole game with this more beautiful character. So yeah, I think that's those diehard fans here. So it's just not looking so great. Let me switch back so I can see your comments. John is writing, Gothic remake a small Spanish studio. Okay. And Snakish is saying, the fact that it was released on Halloween was the only thing they did right, because the game was dressed up as DA, but it wasn't really DA. Yes, exactly. It was wearing a costume of DA. I still can't believe they made us wait 10 years, a whole entire decade for that. Yeah, let's say shit show. Let's say it as it is. Yeah, you're saying cloud show by shit show. VEILGUARD was sadistic torture. VEILGUARD broke some streamers trying to give it a chance. Yes, I think there were more people who were absolutely like disgusted by the game when they were playing it. And I do think also there was a lot of the initial numbers, those were the people who were like streaming the game or who were like making reviews for it, etc. So yeah, not so great. Just give me a minute. I have to, because of my sinuses, I have to clean my nose. So let me just do that. In the meantime, I'm going to switch probably to, this one. And that's the next topic which we are going to discuss. And yeah, I do have something to say here. So let me just switch the microphone off for a second. Okay, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. Yes, the next topic. And it is something where I think this is something that will have an impact also outside of the US, or a bigger impact. There's discussion about games costing $100. They are talking here specifically about GTA 6. Which is also a huge game, which was taking a lot of time to develop, and it had a huge budget from what we already know. So yeah, it would be expected that they do want to sell it for a higher price. The problem is that the games, like I said, are costing more and more and more because they, let's say, put in more and more money when they are creating those games. That there is a certain, let's say, level of fan base or player base that you have a level, you have a cap, which when you reach that, there is no more. So there is only a certain amount of players. And if you want your return on investment from this capped number of players, on a game where you have invested millions of dollars, then of course you have to sell the game for more money in order to get your revenue. The problem is that this player base, this certain amount of players, only has also a certain budget. They have to spend on other stuff as well. And for games, they only have a certain budget. And the question is, and I have seen a ton of debates where the people said the question is, do you want to, let's say, waste your entire budget on just 1 or 2 games that will cost you $100? Or are you rather going to buy 3, 4, or 5 smaller games that cost less and have more variety of stuff to play? Have different games. You can replay more games. So basically you buy more for the money than if you would just buy one game. And I think also what the studios are often not thinking about is that yes, the US is a huge market for video games. Japan is also a huge market for video games. But then everybody else will have already a problem with a game that is costing $100 simply because people will not be able to afford it. And especially when you look back at the last few years, the inflations have skyrocketed in multiple countries. So this is not a problem in just 1 or 2 countries. Everything's costing more and is more and more expensive. And I'm talking about your normal stuff that you have to buy: electricity, food, water, whatever, just the basic stuff. And if you spend a lot of money on your basic needs, your budget for gaming will be even more limited. And to be honest, from my side, if I would have now $100 to spend on some games or a game, then I would definitely not buy one game for that. I would go for 2, 3 smaller games and maybe look for a sale, but I will absolutely not spend $100 on one single game. And I do think there is a lot of people who are thinking exactly the same way. So there will be only from that amount of gamers, from this number of gamers, that certain level that you can reach and no more, from all these people, only a certain portion will be able actually to afford to pay $100 for a game. So you have even a smaller customer base to reach if you make the game so expensive. And I think this is something where I have to wonder, where's the end? Where's the top? This is too much, to be honest. $100 for a game is too much, in my opinion. Then I can see Louis is writing, I can recommend the Commander Shepard Plays videos where the Mass Effect cast reacts to various recent games like VEILGUARD. It is surprisingly clever and in character. I have seen it, yes, those are some good bits, yeah. Okay. Yeah, my budget cap for any GTA game is $7.99. That's from John. Yeah, you have to wait for a sale, I think. My kids loved it though. Louis is writing, lately I only buy discount games. It is the same on my side, to be honest. Often older classics or indies. Admittedly, it's partly because of lacking hardware, but still. And John is writing, oh yes, I remember how I would just wreak havoc in GTA 2 when I was a kid. that's from Louis. I mean, in all seriousness, people will not have that much money anymore. I used to buy in the past the newest games as well, because simply the budget was there and I could afford it. And let's say the ratio between income and spend was a little bit different than it is now. And it is now different mainly because of the inflation and how everything is now more costly. So yeah, the budget is now smaller. So logically, I will also go for, let's say, discount games, and especially also the topic which we had before, the let's say modern games lately. I don't think they're worth it. The quality is just not there. Whether it's the writing or the games are buggy or whatever. So who's going to spend so much money on such a game when they can buy, like you said, some older games and more of them for a discount? And you can buy 2, 3, 4 games and you can play those instead of one, which is overpriced, I think. So yeah. John is writing right now, I am only interested in a quality Oblivion remake. Yeah, I mean, people have already now specific ideas of what they would like to see and what they would like to spend some money on. And if it's not exactly, let's say, in your niche or in the type of games that you are expecting and that you want to buy, GTA has a good fan base, a huge fan base. But again, how much of that fan base will be able to pay $100 for a game? And who will be willing? That's the next thing. Yeah, you might even have those 100 games, but are you willing to spend them on that game? I don't know. So it is the future of the gaming industry is also, let's say, not looking so great if they are starting to do something like this. So not that they are just producing games which are buggy, which are oftentimes like lacking good content, where you see really bad writing, where you have a lot of content taken out and sold later additionally as a DLC. You see all of this, and then you tell yourself, why should I pay for that so much money? So people are just like being discouraged by what they have seen in the past few years to invest the money in a game like that. $100. No, I don't think so. AC Shadows just came out and I'm not impressed. 100 to take a risky chance on a game. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if there would be a certain game that I would, let's say, expect, and there would be like good info in the meantime about it, like we talked about Exodus, that's a game where I'm looking forward to the game. We haven't had any red flags in the meantime. There is nothing really bad going on so far. So if it stays that way, I would be a, let's say, happy customer if they price it right, or if they put a normal price tag on it. I would be happily buying it day one, most probably. I don't have a problem with that, but overprice it and then maybe get disappointed or see, okay, that there's something going on with the game that's just not right. I mean, by the way, when you were talking about the shadows, Luis, I had to laugh because when the first reviews came out by the gaming journalists, you could see everywhere a return to form, a return to form. And I had a VEILGUARD deja vu. And I said, the moment I see again a return to form, it's like the biggest red flag for me to give that game a wide berth. Because that was exactly what they were doing with VEILGUARD before the game released. The journalists who had like played it before upfront were all writing like this based on this like pre-written format, return to form, and the same happened now with AC Shadows. And when I've seen that, I said, okay, there's something wrong with the game. That was it for me, right? That there are already certain things which the journalists do or write before a game releases that are for me a huge red flag, and that was one of those things. So yeah, VEILGUARD deja vu, and you are just basically confirming it as well when you're writing, okay, I'm not impressed. I'm not saying it necessarily has to be a bad game, but yeah, like I said, red flags, yeah. Louis is asking Snackish, is there a game you would be willing to pay $100 for? Yeah, would love to hear the answer. Let us know. That's interesting. John is writing, I will not buy till I see gameplay streams. I would not have bought Andromeda without Sisa. It's okay. Oh, thank you. And I hope you're not disappointed if you have played the game and if you had the chance to play it. Although I'm not sure how, let's say, buggy or bad it is without the mods, to be honest. Like I said, I have modded it up front. And I think they did patch the game a lot, so it's a little bit more smooth and polished now. But again, without the mods, I think one was there, just to give you an example, which I have installed. It's called like faster Kadara doors. That's on Kadara, in the Kadara port. And for me, it was working fine. And then when I did review the people that were writing some comments to the mods, they were saying, yeah, thankfully somebody made this mod because it was taking awfully long for the door to open. And I was like, okay, so it all adds up. It's little things like this. If you have the game unmodded and then you have like bugs, things are not working out, the facial animation is not great, the writing and the dialogues is not so great, and then you even get these little details like you want to move from one area to another and you are standing in front of a door and wait forever until it opens, then yes, it just adds to the frustration. So I can understand that some people just gave up on it completely. So I'm hoping you are able to mod it and play it modded, because otherwise I'm not sure if I would want to play it, to be honest. What else do we have? Louise is writing, a return to mass appeal form, aka content. Yes. Sisa, the official Andromeda shill. Yeah, I don't think I was a shill for it necessarily. I did highlight also the bad stuff, so I did mention it. But in general, and I hated the filler content, to be honest. Like, I was so tired of like all the enemies on the maps, how dense they were, like spread across the map. And really like just this filler content where you had some quests where you didn't even know where to go because it was like, yeah, look around the whole map, like, oh, come on. So there was some stuff that I wasn't so fond of, but in general the game wasn't so bad, to be honest. I did enjoy playing it. I had some fun, whether it was the combat or the quests, and in general I liked the whole idea, which was also something that I have mentioned in the vid, where I was talking about like the creativity in like game sequels. You know, what I was enjoying was that we are not getting the fourth time Commander Shepard and I don't know, Garrus, as much as I like them, but there was somebody else. There were new protagonists. It was taking place in a new spot, and that's something that I was appreciating. You had like new enemies. You had some new species. Even though the execution wasn't so great, because yeah, you only had like 2 new species, and one of them were the enemies, and those were really written very one-sided. But still, it was something new, and at least they tried. So the idea was there, and I did appreciate the idea. The execution, not so much, but yeah. And this is something that I wish that the studios would do more often. But of course, yeah, the execution has to be right as well, right? So I wouldn't say shill for Andromeda, but I did appreciate the, let's say, positive sides and the idea behind the game. That's what I liked. John is writing, I might pay that much for a Larian quality remake of Origins for modern comps. Yeah. I mean, Larian, I am looking forward to see what they are going to create next, to be honest. They can always like surprise people with what they are doing, what game and what style of game. But basically, I think they found a long time ago the recipe to success, or making a successful game, and they are just sticking to that recipe, and they really do what the gamers want and what the gamers appreciate. And I think that's the clever thing with Larian. And also, I think they are still held privately, so I don't think that they belong to some corporation, and I think that is a big factor, to be honest. I do believe that the moment when a company is being bought by some bigger corporation, it is the problem that they really, their only interest in the gaming studio and in the gaming industry is to chase revenue. And that's when the creativity goes. It's the last thing that they care about, and it shows on the games. I think that's usually then also the, let's say, death of the studio sooner or later. Let me see what else we have. You got Garrus in about, you mean the voice actor? Yeah, thanks. I mean, I like Garrus as a character in Mass Effect, not necessarily, let's say, the voice actor, so I'm not like hyped up for specific actors. It's more about the character that was there in the game, so yeah, but I heard it's the same voice actor. Snackish is writing, sorry, I have some internet issues and things are a bit delayed on my end. Yeah, no worries. I mean, it can also be on my end, to be honest. As I mentioned at the start of the stream, I did really have some problems with the connections today during the day, so apologies if you see some lags. John is writing, Andromeda did give us my face is tired meme, exactly, at least one positive stuff. For many people, I think the memes were the most positive takeaway from the game. Snackish is writing, I still don't get how you liked Andromeda, Sisa. Like I said, the whole idea, the execution wasn't so great, but it was the whole idea. I like when the studios are trying something new, and even in established franchises, basically what they did was use the, let's say, existing universe. So you had an established species, a certain history and background of that particular, let's say, gaming universe. Yes, they moved galaxies, but they just basically took it elsewhere. So they started in a different spot, but with new protagonists and with a new type of story, and with, like I said, with new species, new enemies. So they did try to create something new. Execution wasn't so great, like I said, but I appreciated the fact that they were not bringing back for the 100th time the same characters. And that is also, actually, I will be honest, one of the reasons why I'm not looking forward to Mass Effect 5. I am tired of Liara. I mean, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love her. She's a great character. I loved her, whether it was Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, or Mass Effect 3. And as I said also when I was replaying like Mass Effect 3, there is this discussion with Shepard on the Citadel, where basically like you can say with Shepard, you are a great friend. So that's really how I perceived the character. So from all the other characters, she was like this great friend to my Shepard. And it was great to talk to her, and I really liked her character as such. But I don't necessarily want to see her in 100 games going forward, right? And the Mass Effect universe is so vast. There's literally trillions of people. If we are talking about all the species, trillions of people are living there. You can tell the story of any one of those trillions of people if you just decide to do that. Why are you keep bringing back one and the same person? It's just tiring. And when I have seen her in the trailer, I was like, oh, not again. So yeah, she's a great character. I just don't need to see her 100 times in yet another game. I think it's uncreative. Brings me back to the topic which I've mentioned before. So yeah. I love the more corporate insider info you give us, Sisa. It's always so insightful and interesting. I mean, yeah, I don't want to, let's say, mix work and the gaming, but the problem is that, yeah, I do see what's going on inside the corporations, because I have been working for the majority of my life for bigger companies and bigger corporations. As I said, yes, I'm a hypocrite because I criticize them. Fact is, they are paying a normal salary compared to the other companies here, which are paying like really ridiculous income. So yeah. So naturally, if you want to take care of yourself and your family, you just take that job, even if you are not necessarily having the same views as that company. Not all of the corporations are going overboard with some of the stuff like ESG and DEI, for example. To be honest, I can clearly see the differences. Which is one of the things which is also, let's say, translating into the gaming area or the gaming world. It's more like this kind of thinking that I'm observing, which these big companies have, right? And the people working in these companies. That's the insight basically that I'm, let's say, using when I'm looking at certain studios and certain games that are being developed. Is there a corporation behind it, yes or no? Because then I have an idea of what to expect usually. And yeah, it usually the corporations, when they take over a studio, it's not really so great for the studio. I would rather wish that more studios would remain independent and let's say privately owned, like it is with Larian, because you can see that they are consistently creating quality games, and there's nobody above them who would try to dictate them what they can and cannot have in their games and what they should do and should not do. So I think the moment you have like this kind of corporate overlord, it is definitely negatively impacting your creativity. So yeah, that's why I'm mentioning it so often. That's my beef basically with the corporations. They do tend to kill off creativity. Yeah, it is as it is. Yeah. The Andromeda concept was sound. That's from John. They just blew it. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like the execution wasn't so great. I loved Ashley. Yeah, we are not going to agree on that one. I can tell you that much. I wasn't so fond of her. Snackish. What about Ashley? Yeah, so that was a reply. I know you love Ashley. I share her love of poetry and share her love of poetry. Yes. The poetry stuff, okay, that was something where I was like, oh, come on, let me just click through that dialogue. I wasn't so fond of it. As I said, I'm on a Discord server where we are both with Snackish. There was a discussion about poetry and about this particular scene from Mass Effect where she starts to recite the poetry, and then somebody in the Discord server, because I said, okay, I didn't like it, and I just, poetry is like, bah, yeah. And someone said like, yeah, come on, if somebody like would give you a book from Tennyson, like what would you do with it or something like that? And my reply was, any kind of poetry book is a good kindling for my fireplace. So yeah, that's about my take on poetry, to be honest. So I'm not so fond of it, to tell you the truth. But it's good to know someone actually likes Ashley. She doesn't have many fans. I do think that they try to like flesh out her character more in the third game specifically. And I do think, and now regardless whether it was actually Caden or Ashley in the second, when you meet them, the dialogue that you have with them was kind of weird. That's I think that was on Horizon when you meet there. You get you get to meet someone who potentially in Mass Effect 1 could have been like your love interest, and then they behave in a way where I say, okay, a certain portion was understandable, where they are just angry because they thought you are dead and now they see you alive. So it is kind of a shock. But the accusations that are being thrown around from that counterpart, like I said, whether it's Caden or Ashley, those are something where I would have wished to have a different option to respond, because basically you're not really saying that much there, and you don't really get too many options to like explain maybe something more. It's a very short dialogue, and that was something that I didn't like in Mass Effect 2, to be honest. And then in Mass Effect 3, they try to kind of fix it with the dialogues which you have either with Caden or with Ashley. And I do think that in Mass Effect 3, what they managed, if I compare them to when I was playing both, I mean Ashley just once, but I did play with Ashley actually once, and then with Caden. When I compared it, I really have to say that they probably, let's say, fleshed out Ashley a little bit more, and they, let's say, corrected what they botched in Mass Effect 2, this kind of weird dialogue. There was a better discussion or talk about it between Shepard and Ashley than it was between Shepard and Caden. And I think Caden was kind of changed in, like, also in his characters in a way where I just was like, oh, not exactly the best change, to be honest. So yeah, I do think that they did work a lot on Ashley, and they try to make sure that the character comes across a little bit better than it was in Mass Effect 1 or Mass Effect 2. So yeah. ME1 Ash won me over. So that's from John. So Mass Effect 1, Ashley. Tough Survivor. You need a mod to have romance with Ash in Mass Effect 1. Oh, really? I didn't know that, because I never romanced her in Mass Effect 1. So I didn't know. I think most of my playthroughs were like no romance, and then I think once I romanced Caden just to see what will happen. Let's all admit that we wanted an option to tell them that if they don't trust us, they should just leave. Yeah, that was exactly what I was missing, like some kind of like harsher response, because their reaction to you was actually quite harsh. And you as Shepard, the worst thing was, if you were actually playing as a renegade, even as a renegade, you didn't have this option like to tell them to just fuck off, let me put it that way. So for me, it was kind of a botched dialogue, because you were just standing there and babbling something, and it was nowhere near the level as how they approached you. So that there was just not this kind of response that I would have wished for. Or actually an option to explain a little bit more or a little bit better if you didn't want to go that renegade path and you wanted to do it, let's say, in a more nice manner. The option to actually explain a little bit more, or at least like share some background information, and you didn't have that as well. So yeah, Mass Effect 2 was kind of bad in this regard when you have met the people from Mass Effect 1. No, sis, I cannot visualize you and Ash shopping for curtains together. Yes, I don't think so. That would not work, to be honest. Yeah, let me go back a little bit to what we have on the screen. So the reaction to these games for $100, as you can see, when you just Google it, so most people are like, the horrifying reality. Asmongold is holding his head. People are really not so fond of it, of the idea, right? So I don't think this is going to be a solution going forward for the gaming companies to start selling games which cost more and more and more money, because the people will just simply not buy them. Like I said, there is a certain amount of players out there, they have a certain budget, and they will think twice whether they are going to pay for a game so much money. So the perception of this trend overall isn't positive. There are some people which say, yes, if the game is great, and if it's really worth the $100, I'm going to buy it. But that's I don't think that's the majority of the people. So yeah, I think that people will have a problem with that. And also, there was a discussion here on the union forum, where you also can see a lot of the, let's say, negative perception. Good way to kill gaming, right? I won't even buy them for $70. These people are out of their mind. So yes, the problem is that it's not really connecting anymore with the reality. And especially here, somebody's pointing it out as well, like everything is being inflated out of this world right now. So gas bills, food, etc. Yeah, it's not going to work long term. I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, then I do have two more things, but let me switch back to see what you are talking about. Louis is saying, it really feels like this is the worst time to introduce higher prices, especially when the gaming industry is at this point where they have produced so many flops and people are like discouraged from buying new games because they are not sure what to expect. They have been disappointed one too many times. And then you are telling them, okay, I'm going to make the next game which you are waiting for, but you are going to have to pay for it $100. I don't think so. And most of the people will, more and more, they will rely on, let's say, streamers or YouTubers to actually play the game first and see actually what it looks like. And they will wait for some reviews. And then they will decide whether they are going to buy it or wait for a sale or just say, okay, no thanks, not for me. But also reviews, people will be more careful, I think, after the fiasco from last year. For example, with VEILGUARD, we have seen that there have been quite a few YouTubers as well which have been very positive about the game because, of course, page chills, there's no other way to call it. And they have been making very positive bits about the game, which also resulted in some people buying then the game because they did trust the YouTuber or the streamer. And in the end, when the game released, it was quite clear then by the people who didn't have this early access and then were reviewing the game, let's say, independently, that the game is really not worth it and it's really not so great. And I do think that people were also like very disappointed at that point in many of these, let's say, YouTubers with this kind of early accesses, and they will be more careful even with them. So a lot of people will be waiting for, let's say, the good word to spread around before they actually buy the game. So what we could see also, I think, is that over time there will be less pre-orders in general. People will stop pre-ordering games, and also less of the numbers on day one or in the first week. I think the people will still wait like a week or two until we get the reviews, until we get the streams, until we see really what the game is like, and then they are going to decide to buy it. So I think the increase in sales will be then, if the game is good, maybe after 1.5 2 weeks, but it will shift compared to how it was before. Before, people, when they were hyped for games, they even didn't hesitate to pre-order and pay a lot of money for a game they haven't even seen yet. So I don't think that this is going to be the same going forward after the last few years and after the flops that we have seen. So yeah. Yeah, Louis is right. Yeah, I just read it. It really feels like this is the worst time to introduce higher prices. And John is writing, I still play modded Skyrim the most. As you get older, you appreciate reliable things that are already paid for. And that's also the same on my side, to be honest. Like when I have some downtime and I'm not necessarily working on something for the channel and I just want to play something for myself, then I just pick up some of the older games and I just relax playing something older that I already know, and I know what to expect, and I know how to play, and it's like a nice thing to go back to. But to be honest, again, you can only go back so often, and after a while it will become probably boring, and you would wish to have something different. So sooner or later you have to look into the newer games as well. It's just a question, is there something that's worth your time and money? Yeah. Lois is writing, hey, Mr. Gamer, we made some huge flops lately and someone needs to pay for them. Get the hint. Yes. Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about this topic because I think it's not the path forward, and I don't see a future in that one. And like someone said there on that forum, it's a good way to kill gaming. Yeah, good way to kill gaming, yeah. Then I have two more things. One is the channel of Snackish, who is here as well. And I can't believe you still have only 65 subscribers. With these good vids, I just wanted to really mention again, these vids are really great, whether it's the thoughts that you are sharing, and your takes are really, let's say, very objective, and you are trying to look at it from multiple positions. I do like it, even though you have vids which are more critical, just like we all have probably, especially with some games that we were waiting for. I'm not going to talk more about that one. But I do like it as well, like when you are posting something, and especially when you were now making the last one with the Blood of Dawnwalker. I know John will not be so happy about that one, but in general, I think you did summarize it very well. So I have to tell you one thing, you have to do also more marketing for yourself, because I really think those bits are worth it. So just reminding here on the stream, everyone, if you are seeing this, please don't hesitate, open that YouTube page and channel and watch some of the vids, because I do think it's really worth it. And I really wish you would be out there a little bit more and have more subscribers. So that was the next thing. A well-deserved channel shilling. Yes, it is, exactly, because the I mean, really, it's quality vids, in my opinion. So yeah, definitely needs more viewers, and you don't have to thank me. I do it really because I believe that the potential is there, and you make good vids. And the last thing which I wanted to share as a funny post before we leave the stream probably, is, I'm not sure if you know these guys. They are called Lionfield. Those are two Italian guys, and they are basically defending, let's say, the Italian food and ways of cooking. And in case you haven't seen them, I highly advise. I will probably play one or two vids here, just if in case you don't know them. Let me just put on the headset so that it's not too loud. And let me adjust the volume a little bit. So I hope you will be able to hear it. Let me make it maybe bigger.
No, Bayashi! Why did you break them? You know the rule! You even cut the spaghetti? You're making an omelette out of broken spaghetti! What did you put on top? No!
Approved.
Ah, really? Give me the emoji. Approved.
Okay, so in case you haven't seen those guys, I think it's really worth watching their vids. They have like a lot of shorts, and they're like making fun of people who are, let's say, cooking Italian food the wrong way, whether it's spaghetti and pasta or if it's pizza or something else. And they are usually picking up some online people who are online, like posting how they are cooking something, and they are just saying all the time like not approved. And I rarely see something where they are like happy about what they see and where they say approved. So it's absolutely worth it. If you want to check out the channel, let me just switch back again to show you what they are called. So it's Lionfield. Okay, so it's really worth. I mean, they're posting quite often the shorts, and I'm usually having a lot of fun with them. So I hope you are going to enjoying that one. That was basically the last thing that I had prepared for the stream. I'm not sure if you want to see more. I can show you some more of the vids, or if you want to talk about like a little bit more about some of the topics. I do think we did discuss a lot of the issues which are related also in the background with all of these, and not just necessarily the Exodus and the VEILGUARD. But I did try actually to rather prepare less of the topics, as I said in the beginning, and then rather give you more space to discuss. So I love to prepare something. It's usually fun, but I do like even more when we talk and interact. So I hope you had fun today. Let me just maybe switch here so that it's not let me switch so that we can see Snackish's channel before we leave. Good. That would be it from my side, to be honest. I don't know if you are writing something or not, because I don't see anything moving. I still see just the same post in the chat. So I do hope you did like the stream today. I hope you had some fun. I hope the topics were interesting for you. I will try again to prepare something for the next time again that will be interesting and we can talk about. And there is something coming up which I wanted to mention at the end, which is I have shown you Pompeii the Legacy, and it looks like I will be test playing it, and it would be probably something that I'm going to post then on the channel, where I will be doing, let's say, a review from that playtesting. So I hope you are looking forward to that one. So it's just a small hint of the bit that I'm going to drop. And I have to play it now over the weekend, and I will take a lot of notes, and hopefully there will be something interesting for you. It's not the usual type of games that I'm playing, like I said, on the channel. It's not an RPG, it's not even a point and click. It's a city builder, but I still hope that you are going to enjoy it when I post it. So just a small hint of what's coming on the channel. And okay, now I see some messages that popped up. John is writing the got bit on VEILGUARD is so good. Snackish, thank you, Sisa, again. You're extremely kind to even be mentioning me in the stream. Yeah, I just wish more people would be watching your channel and you get more subscribers, honestly. You are my unofficial manager, yes. Louise is writing, sorry if it's creepy, but where are you from? I asked about your accent a while ago, and it was merely linguistic curiosity. Okay, so Snackish is answering, she's Greek. So yeah, that is, we are a bunch of European people here, and plus John from the US, so we are very international on this stream now. It was a bit laggy because of my intern, but I love the stream and I appreciate the shout out once again. And John is saying the other plus for all the games is that most of us have systems that can play the hell out of them. Yes, yeah, that's true. Good, guys, so that's it for the stream. Like I said, I hope you did enjoy it. I thank you for being here. It was lovely again to talk to you and to see all the posts and in the chat and see that you discuss what we are talking about as well. So it's really great to see the interaction. Thanks a lot for being here, and thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned and game on.